This is the most important video you're ever gonna watch on abuse and domestic violence. So I want you to stick around to the end of the video. I promise I'm about to blow your mind. Alright, so what is abuse?
Normal communication between adults isn't bewildering, isn't humiliating, doesn't hurt, isn't a source of angst and sort of hand-wringing. I mean, the fact that you're here watching this video, that's an indicator to me that something is seriously off.
We all kind of have an idea of what abuse is already in our heads. So before I define that, let's talk about something else. What is power? No, power, as defined by scientists, is the use of force or the capacity to secure the desired outcome through threat or force, even by exercising influence. Where does power come from? Power comes from a position that you're appointed, your job, a father, a boss, a partner. Coercive power through threats and punishment. Typically, we call that abuse or coercion. Reward power, gaining compliance through rewards. You know, money. You can pay people to get the results you want. Hire them as an employee or pay them for a service. Your charisma online, you know, maybe you create a funny or influential tweet and it gets traction, you get clout, or perhaps through your group of friends that you know, or the power of knowledge, gaining compliance by dispersing valuable information. Now let's go back to the original question. What is abuse? Abuse can simply be defined as one thing: the inappropriate or excessive use of power. And do you know what else we call this? Psychosis. Psychopathy. That is what psychopathy is. Abuse and inappropriate use of power. You want to know why we all hate Karen and hate Karens and can all relate to the Karen meme? And it's because of this reason right here on the screen. The inappropriate or excessive use of power. It's abuse. She's abusing whoever her victim is.
I'm gonna tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the ramble. Please send the cops immediately.
Plain and simple. Tends to go over their head, asking for the manager so that they can try to get, you know, so-and-so fired because her food was cold or allegedly cold. Tell me that's not true. Tell me that's not true. Because I have looked at all of these cases and it all boils down to the exact same thing. Power and the use of force or threat against someone. Why do people hate social justice warriors? Because it has become the most petty attempt to use power or force or mob. It has become literally a race to the bottom to find the most petty thing to throw in someone's face or use against them to have some mob attack this person that y'all don't like or whatever. Or overpower some seemingly powerful person like a celebrity or internet persona or business even. You know, like Trader Joe's. And the reason this works so well is because there's an alleged victim. People justify their use of force or inappropriate or excessive use of power by claiming they're a hero in protecting some alleged victim. Every single time. What we really need to call this is mass psychosis, hysteria, mass delusion, because that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. People coming up with a reason to use force or power against someone. So, the role of the hero in this triangle is to use force, power, against the villain to rescue the victim. The villain is using force or power against the victim to oppress them. And that authorizes, allegedly, the hero, in this case, to use force against the villain. Alright, now that you know about the drama triangle, opposite the drama triangle is the empowerment triangle. Now, whereas the drama triangle disempowers each other, the villain disempowers the victim, the hero disempowers the villain, and those roles could be flipped around in the story. God knows who the real victim could be. It's all flipped around these days. You either got the victim, the villain, or the hero. They've just, pulled a Darvo attack and vilified the victim, and then all these, quote, heroes come and attack the villain to protect said victim. I believe the root of all evil is abuse of power. Patricia Cornwell. And I couldn't agree more. You hear money is the root of all evil, but what is money anyway? But power, financial power. You can buy anything with money, just about. It's actually abuse of power. So this is the single most important lesson you're ever going to learn about sociology and psychology. Domestic violence, abuse, psychopathy, sociopathy, narcissism, sadism, all have one thing in common, and that's power. That is what they are all based off of. Every conflict you see is a power struggle, some kind of power struggle. And every abuse that you see, for the most part, is some power trip. You may have heard of the dark triad, but I prefer the dark tetrad, which includes sadism in it. Now, dark triad personalities have been described as the quintessence of evil. Specifically, malignant narcissism, which is a combination of all four of these elements: sadism, psychopathy, narcissism, Machiavellianism. But what are those? And they all have to do with power. Forget what you know about sociopathy and psychopathy, narcissism. I guarantee it's wrong. And don't even look up the definitions of it right now. This is what it boils down to. Psychopathy is the inappropriate use of force or power against a person, whether it's influence, physical force, or some other type of force or power. This is psychopathy. Now, sociopathy, also called Machiavellianism, is the inappropriate use of force as well, but also power-seeking behavior. So they are creating scenarios to manipulate, abuse, or use force against people. They're described as being manipulative, and it's described as manipulation. And this is what the manipulation is about: power, and being able to use force against someone, or justifying using force against someone. Now, narcissism is just power-seeking and selfish behavior. They're constantly looking to gain power, authority, clout. And there's malignant narcissism, which is a combination of narcissism and psychopathy and sociopathy. They're trying to gain power at someone else's expense, or create scenarios to gain power, causing drama or spreading rumors about someone, even if it's true, especially if it's petty, or seems like they have something against this person. They're trying to destroy their target. What is their motive? Attention, power, clout? Now, it's okay to be narcissistic. You can post selfies of yourself online, which get tons of likes and gain followers. You become more influential and gain power like that, or comment on other people's posts. But when it becomes malignant is when you throw that psychopathic and sociopathic element into it, harming someone else in the process of you gaining power and clout. So it's okay to be narcissistic, but it is not okay to be a malignant narcissist. That's frowned upon. Sadism we define as a lack of empathy or deriving pleasure from a person being abused or just overpowered. And it could be for the greater good too. You see a bank getting robbed, and then the police come in and they arrest the villain, the bad guy, the criminal, and everybody claps and cheers. And the reason you don't have empathy towards that criminal was because they were abusing power over someone else or using force. So it's not even always a bad thing to be sadistic, it's natural. But there's also a dark form of sadism where you want revenge, you want to harm that person for selfish reasons. You don't like them, they're a social rival of yours, so you enjoy seeing them suffer. That is not normal, that's not typical human emotion, that's a dark personality trait and something to be concerned about. And these all come back to one thing: power. There couldn't be sadism if there wasn't a power struggle that happened leading up to it. Now, this is how you can identify psychopaths and narcissists and sociopaths in our society. It is perfectly okay to call them out on their behavior, and they should be called out on their behavior because it's toxic and criminal behavior, actually. Now, these are not mental disorders at all. These are behaviors. These are completely conscious when the person makes these decisions to be psychopathic or to be narcissistic or to be sadistic. They might be very strong emotions, but they should be within the realm of control of that person. So if you're calling someone sociopathic, you're saying that their behavior is sociopathic or that they're psychopathic in this moment. That situation was psychotic.
Roll it.
Call 911. Damn God, good man.
My mask is in my bag.
Put it on.
Put it on when I get a chance.
The manager on the airport here. Who's on it? Josie.
Please just leave us alone.
Please leave us alone.
Owner, you can put a warning on my door. Like every other day, you were bringing me a new warning, a new piece of paper saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, right?
Ms. Heard acted with actual malice. We, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million.
All right, this video is getting a little long, and I want to keep it short and sweet. So what I would like to conclude this introduction to abuse and power on is that we have rules to restrict power and use of force against people, and they're called laws. If you think about it, theft, destruction of property, assault and battery, domestic violence, stalking, harassment, false imprisonment, kidnapping, rape, defamation, slander, that's all using force and power against someone. Think about any law you can imagine. A lot of those have to deal with power and use of force. So I hope you've learned a new way of thinking about abuse and violence and power and what these topics all mean when you look at our society, when you think about Karens or cancel culture or any dramas that go on, conflicts. They're all power struggles. I want you to always think about power and the use of force over someone else to get what they want. That is violence. That is abuse. That is psychopathy. And it could even be from narcissism or sociopathy. All right, check out my other videos on